Hey guys, it's been a while. I figured I'd start things off slow by going with a game that most people probably haven't heard of before and probably won't take very long to do. Oh, who am I kidding? I couldn't say that with a straight face. Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant, and let's play The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild for Wii U and Switch. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this one either. And I haven't really been in the mood to do any LPs for the last couple of years. But every so often, a game comes along that just grabs you. And this is one of those games that when I first picked it up, I could not put it down. And I mean that quite literally. I had spent several days just blocked off entirely, playing nothing but Breath of the Wild. However, this will not be that kind of Let's Play, and I'll get into exactly what it is when we get there. But Breath of the Wild is the least Zelda-like Zelda game that has been released since Majora's Mask, essentially. Where every other mainstream Zelda game has followed Link to the Past structure, Breath of the Wild is more focused on specific elements that aren't necessarily highlighted in other Zelda games as much, or at least to the same extent. And those three include exploration, discovery, and experimentation. You're effectively given the freedom to go wherever you want and do whatever you want after you finish the starting area that we're going to be opening the game in, and after that, everything is free reign. And because of the nature of this game and the fact that I do not intend to show off absolutely everything there is to see, I would rather leave the bulk of what I do not show off in this Let's Play for players to discover on their own if they haven't had the opportunity to play it before. So out of courtesy to everyone who's watching who either hasn't played or hasn't seen everything that there is to see, I highly, highly discourage anyone in the comments from spoiling anything that I do not explicitly mention or show in the Let's Play proper. Now that said, I will be opening up a Let's Play spoiler channel on the Discord server, so if anybody has any questions there and they want to ask them without fear of being bopped in the comments, feel free to drop your question or your comment in there. I know not everybody uses Discord, but it's the only thing that I have set up for that sort of thing. And the link to that's in the description if you're interested in it. So if you have suggestions or questions, the Discord channel is the place that you'll want to direct them, not the YouTube comments. But that said, there really isn't all that much going on at the start of the game. We hear a female voice wake us up from some sort of waterbed. We pick up a magic tablet, and we're dropped into the world.
Link, you are the light. Our light. That must shine upon Hyrule once again. Now go.
This is the first Zelda game with a decent amount of voice acting, so I won't be talking over most of the ones that are properly voice-acted cutscenes, but if they aren't properly voice-acted, I'll probably be talking over them. There's just so much I want to say about this game, but I really needed a whole project to be able to do that. So hopefully I'll remember to say everything that I want to. So there are a couple of things that you'll notice right off the bat if you have played the game before, that there is a certain something missing from the heads-up display in that it has basically nothing on it. So normally when you're playing, you're able to see, say, your stealth meter, the weather, the time of day, and perhaps most importantly, the minimap. However, you can't the way I have it set up. And the reason for that is because I'd like to introduce an additional challenge for myself where I can't use those things, particularly the minimap. And that's because I've played this game so much that I'm really interested to see how much of the game I actually just remember, as opposed to trying to use the minimap to help me figure out my way around. Just how much of the game can I remember from memory alone? Hey, it's an old man with a lamp. Oh, you can also move around the camera while you're talking to people. It's a really nice feature. You can't move around like Chrono Trigger, but you can still move the camera, which is neat. You can already see a lot of fancy visuals going on. Even simple things like the direction that the fire is going based on the wind. All of these actually have significance in the gameplay. They do influence other factors. And we'll see that as we go along. Sure I can, it's a video game. See? I told you. Yeah, so there are a lot of different elements in the world, and most video games that aren't particularly open world, I suppose, they will construct an overworld that basically just serves as an overworld, a means of getting from place to place, maybe throw a couple of different elements in it that allow you to interact with the world based on the tools that you're given, but they're very few and far between. They're in very specific locations. Breath of the Wild's overworld is constructed in such a way that pretty much everything in it, or maybe not everything, but there's a lot more in this game that you can actively interact with based on the tools that you're given. And the tools that we'll be receiving in the starting area here will serve us through pretty much the entirety of the game. And they have a vast number of uses throughout the world, most of which I suppose I'll be showing, but not all of which I will be showing. So you can also see there are enemies all around. You see a little question mark pop up because they think they see us. And then if you're in their sight for too long, then you'll see the exclamation point, which shows that they are alerted to your presence. We also have a stamina meter, which is pretty much exactly the same as it was in Skyward Sword, although we can do a couple of additional things with it. But this is the place that I think the voice was telling us to go. It's also kind of funny to see Link running around with a tree branch behind his back, holstered like it is a sword. Watch out for falling rocks. Are we playing Mario 64? This isn't the Womp's Fortress I remember. I remember this particular scene being absolutely breathtaking when I first got here. Because when you just run out of that cave, all you see is the plateau, the very beginning area. But when it shows you the towers going up in all of those other places, even if it's only 3 or 4, you see how dramatically different they are from where you are, how you probably wouldn't even be able to see them when you started. And the world looks big enough on its own, but until you get a glimpse of the things that are even further than what you can see, beyond your line of sight, it gives you an idea as to the scope of the game, just how enormous it is. Perhaps no more so than when you first get the map. So anytime we activate a tower like this, we'll get a regional map that gives us the topography of that specific area. I'll also be cutting out all of the loading screens, so, quality of life improvements and all that. The funny thing is, I'm playing this on Wii U disc. That may be the absolute slowest in terms of loading, but I'm not 100% certain. It is kind of hilarious, though. Some of these can get like 15-20 seconds long, the loading screens. Although given the grandeur of the world that it's loading, it's pretty impressive. It doesn't load the entire world all at once, obviously, and there are certain things you can do to move fast enough that it actually has to load while you're moving, so it freezes you in place. But it's very uncommon for that to happen, and I don't think if you're just playing the game normally that you'd ever see it anyway. But there's Hyrule Castle in the distance, and there's Ganon, I assume. So we might want to do something about that, but there's nothing we can do about it right now. So now that we have access to our Sheikah Slate, we can pull it out, and you can see the map. So this is the starting area, this is the cave that we started out in, so I think the old man was over here. We made our way down to the tower, and you have a general idea of how big the starting area is. So you may be wondering, how big is the rest of the world? Look at how massive the rest of the world is compared... Oh, you know what? I didn't zoom out all the way. Look at how massive the world is compared to where we're starting out. This tiny little thing is encompassed by the entire raised section of the map right here, which includes those mountains up there. All of this that we see here is included in this tiny little region. That is Breath of the Wild. That gives you an idea as to just how massive... Oh, I didn't realize the rest of these were blocked up by rocks, so you absolutely have to go down this way. Interesting. But yeah, we have no way of getting down there safely, so we're just going to slowly hop down from one of these platforms to the next. You can climb this, by the way. I specifically say we can climb the towers because I don't intend to climb any more towers. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't intend to use the minimap because I have the HUD turned off, so chances are I'm not going to be using the towers either, just to see how much of the world that I remember. And as massive as this overworld is, there are plenty of different landmarks, changing geography, just specific elements of the map that make it easier for you to tell where you are relative to maps of similar sizes in other games. It has that attention to detail that very few games outside of Zelda games have when constructing an overworld. There are all sorts of little secrets and treasures hidden around if you have the mind to look for them. And regardless of where you go on the map, there are very few areas that have basically nothing in them. So anywhere you go here, there's something for you to find. And that's what makes exploring this world particularly satisfying. And that's also why I don't intend to show off absolutely every area, not just because it would take forever to do, but because I want to leave some things for the players to explore rather than just watch everything yourself. I mean, I know that you have that available to you anyway, even if you weren't specifically watching mine, but I'd like to think that I'm at least doing the players a favor by not showing absolutely everything. So if anyone has the urge to go back and explore a particular location that they didn't look at too extensively, and were interested in playing the game again just because they saw this video, I'm happy to do that too. But the old man told us that there are 4 specific things that we need to get before he'll give us a thing that we need. And if he didn't say 4, he may have only said 1, actually. But there are 4, trust me. So one of the 4 things is over here, reverse relative to the direction that he told us to go. That doesn't look fun. Let's not deal with... I don't think I can make that jump, actually. Nope. I was thinking I could make it all the way to the wall before he shot me, then I thought better of it. Why am I getting this now? And by thought better of it, I mean died anyway. I wonder if I could actually do that now. Huh. I probably could. Could I? I'm tempted to try. I do want to see if I can do that. But yeah, this thing is not fun. Let's see, if he gets distracted enough, can I actually make it? Oh no, I don't have the stamina to do it. No, okay, I'll go around. I knew going around was an option anyway, I'm just not used to having this little stamina. But yeah, those things shoot lasers. I don't know why I decided to try to run and gun from there. Oh, I do the skips by instinct. Yeah, so basically all Link is doing is slamming his tablet against the tablet press. The door opens, and then he goes down the elevator. You'll see this so many times, you probably don't want to see it more than once anyway. I guess I'll show it for the next shrine. But each of the things up here has what's called a rune. So the first one we go to gives us bombs. Now, unlike bombs in other games, these bombs are unlimited use, although they do have a cooldown. So I can pull one out, I can throw it, and it's remote, so I can detonate it wherever I want. And if I want to use a second one immediately, I can use the other shape, the square bomb, which doesn't roll as much. Yeah, that's a nice weapon. So there are going to be 4 of these shrines up here in the starting area, and each one will give us a unique sort of item, but not really item. It's... the things that we get here are called runes, R-U-N-E-S, and they serve as dungeon items, in a way. That they give us access to specific things throughout the world. And these are the tools that I was discussing before that allow you to interact with the world around you. So bombs are the most... I guess the most readily identifiable. Like, you hear the word bomb, you know exactly what it does. It blows stuff up. Now, since they are unlimited use, they did reduce the damage that they do specifically because they're unlimited. So most of the time, unless you're really hard-pressed for other means of offense, you won't be using bombs all that often. But they do have their uses here and there. And at the end of each one of these shrines, we have the Shrine Monks. And these Shrine Monks will give us something that will help defeat Ganon, apparently. They exist only to sit here and wait for us to get here. And then when we do get there, they give us something. I forgot how long this was. Okay, it's just a symbol of courage. It doesn't really do anything. And now that we have our spirit orb, the monk just disappears, and we'll never see him again. However, someone we will see again... You're just flaunting that paraglider in our face, aren't you? How'd you know about the spirit orbs? Oh, well, like I said, this old man, he's telling us that the tower's awakening, the shrine's activating, the Sheikah slate that we have, everything's connected. Which I suppose is easy to tell given how it all looks fairly similar. They have the same kind of ancient feel to them. The towers, the shrines, the slate. But like I mentioned, this guy is going to tell us that there are in fact 3 more of those shrines hidden around the starting area. I mean, if you would look carefully enough when I was going over the area when we were atop the tower, you could have seen at least 3 of the 4 shrines. Maybe you could have seen 4, I don't remember. I think he's telling you to go back up and see them anyway. But again, I know where they are, so I don't intend to go back up to the tower to check. But the blue points on our map are indeed travel points, so anytime we activate a little blue circle on the ground like we're standing on right now in front of a shrine or at the top of a tower, that'll serve as a travel point that we can quick travel to whenever we want. So if I want to, I can just select this here, and then I'd go straight back to the place where we started. Also, rest in peace. It shows exactly where you died. It really serves no purpose whatsoever. Like, you can't recover any items that you drop because it just starts you with the... It starts you with whatever materials that you have when you died or before you died anyway. It's like restoring a save point. So there really isn't a use for it other than to see where you died. Like, you can't go back and... I don't know how many times I'm going to explain the same thing. But it's more for aesthetics than anything, I guess. It doesn't serve a practical use. But 2 of the shrines that we're looking for down here, we got the one with the bombs. The one that he was leading us to when we came down the tower was on the other side of the river over here. And as we're running around, you can still see a bunch of different areas in the distance. Like, we have a big mountain that's split in 2 over there. We have a volcano. Hyrule Castle is over there. Fish! Oh, actually, now that we have bombs, I can show an efficient way to go fishing, if the fish are still here. Bomb fishing is always a good time. I'm not really sure where the water from this river is even coming from. Because it looks like it's just... Oh yeah, you can use the slate to sort of zoom in like a camera. The water starts off over there like a puddle. I don't know where it's coming from, or even where it's going. Maybe it's just a lake. A tiny little lake that looks like a river. It's shaped like a river, but it's not actually a river. But swimming is also tied to your stamina meter. And if your stamina meter runs out while you're in the water, you'll drown. So you need to be careful with that. And also, dashing in the water, just like dashing while you're running around, will drain that stamina too. And if you run out of stamina, then you can't really move. Again, very, very similar to Skyward Sword. So I guess I'll show what happens when you don't skip the cutscenes for the shrine opening, but it's really nothing that interesting. So when it opens up, you do activate the travel point here, but you see the orange at the top there means that the shrine is incomplete. So you can always immediately tell what shrines you have and have not completed as long as you've opened them up. But even if you haven't completed the shrine yet, you can still use it as a travel point. It'll just be marked as orange. I think there are a few other places that serve as travel points that do that, and there may even be a few that you can't travel to until you activate it. I might be misremembering that. I seem to remember there are a couple of places that will start off as orange, showing that they are a potential travel point, but haven't been activated yet. We may or may not come across one in this LP. I'll get back to you on that. But here we get our second rune, Magnesis. So this one allows us to move around metallic objects. Like these, for instance. So we can get through here. Now, Magnesis is one of those relatively useful because there are a lot of different things in this world that are affected by Magnesis. There are a lot of metal things. Also, this little guy. This little guy likes blocks. He also drops ancient things. Ancient things are fun. But basically anything that makes this metallic noise, or anything that has that sort of sheen to it, or the metallic symbols, I guess. I mean, this trial does a good job of showing you what most of the metal things will look like, including some chests. So you can just bring them straight down. You don't even have to build a bridge to get up there or anything. I spent the longest time trying to get that bridge up to there without realizing that the chest itself was metallic. And you could just bring it right down. Doors are going to close again. Hope not. And once again, at the end of the trial, we get this monk that'll give us our spirit orb. So I'll just be skipping the dialogue for all of these. It really doesn't change all that much. And now that we've gotten the 2 runes on this side of the plateau, I suppose I could show off all of the other kind of metallic things that we can play with. So there are a few chests in the water here, and usually after we finish off one of these trials, there will be some things around the immediate vicinity that we can play with, given the new runes that we have. So amber and opal are, you know, little precious stones that we can use to do specific things. They're mainly used for money, but they do have other specific uses. We can also break open these crates that usually have stuff in them. And I want to take this with me for one other specific thing over there. We could do something fancy to get up there without it, but I do want to get the things that are in the chests here. And then we'll make our way to the other side of the plateau that has the other 2 shrines on it. But even though I know like exactly where I want to go, you can see there's plenty of plateau around us to explore that I'm ignoring. And you could easily spend a couple of hours exploring this area alone. Despite it being the starting area, there's just so much to do here. And just like many Zelda games previously, we have different kind of arrows, such as fire arrows, ice arrows, and the mud that is below us will actually swallow you up if you go in too far, so I don't intend to go down there. Instead, the 2 shrines that we have to go to get are on the other side. I don't know if we can see them from down here, but I guess you'll have to take my word for it for the time being. So let's quick travel back up to where we started and see if we can get to those 2 shrines next.